I'm gonna make this very simple for you, Dan. Men should not play sports against women. I'm not gonna get into all the bullshit that's going on out here in the world today. If anybody think that, I think they're stupid. I'm not, like I say, I support the gay community 100%. I support the transgender community 100%. But I do not, under any circumstances, under zero, think that men should play sports against women. And if anybody have a problem with that, they're going to have to get over it, because I'm not going to change my...
I saw a video of Enes Kanter saying that he is declaring himself as a WNBA prospect. So he posted this on his social media. He said, if simply declaring who you are is all that's required, then I meet every single requirement necessary to compete in the WNBA. And he basically says, based on the current guidelines, I can and am officially declaring my eligibility for the upcoming WNBA draft in April 2027. Like, I don't know whether to laugh. I don't know whether to cry, because like I've said in other videos, this league is the anything but basketball league. The storylines around this league are never about basketball. And I didn't realize what I was signing up for by covering this league to the extent that I have been covering it for the past 3 years. Like, I actually like sports. I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about drama and negativity. And it's literally, that's the thing that's in your face.
Charles Barkley just looked straight into the camera and delivered a warning that has the WNBA world paying attention. What started as a joke from a retired NBA big man has suddenly turned into a much bigger controversy, with legal threats, heated reactions, sponsors facing questions, and social media exploding. Barkley didn't exactly hold back, calling the situation outrageous and raising serious questions about where the league goes from here. Now, what began as a playful mock draft declaration has evolved into a full-blown media storm, one that could put even more pressure on a league already struggling to control the narrative surrounding its biggest controversies. So how did a simple joke turn into such a massive WNBA headache? That's where this story gets really interesting.
Oh my gosh, it's happening. A former NBA star has now declared himself a prospect for the WNBA. This is Enes Kanter. He is 6'10", 250 pounds. He now says that he has reviewed all of the eligibility requirements and criteria for the WNBA and has decided to declare himself eligible for the 2027 WNBA draft.
Yo, shit just got real, y'all. If this is true, Enes Kanter Freedom said, you know what? It's time for the WNBA to put up or shut up. They want to talk about, they believe inclusivity and exclusion is never the answer, and there's not even a number big enough of people other than women, other than biological women who are playing in women's sports for it to matter, for all this fuss and all this, you know, all these people to be looking at it like a problem. Shit just got real.
Enes Kanter Freedom, the former NBA center known for his outspoken political views, recently posted a video announcing, apparently with a straight face, that he was eligible for the 2027 WNBA draft. There were no wild theatrics, no exaggerated jokes, and no attempt to turn the moment into a comedy skit. Instead, he delivered a calm, almost legal-sounding statement directly to the camera. The tone was so serious that it felt less like a viral stunt and more like someone reading an official declaration. And that's exactly what made the video so...
Consideration and reviewing the current eligibility guidelines. I am officially declaring myself a WNBA prospect. If simply declaring who you are is all that's required, then I meet every single requirement necessary to compete in the WNBA. My team and I have carefully examined the WNBA's eligibility criteria and governing framework surrounding self-identification and inclusion. Based on the current guidelines, I can and am officially declaring my eligibility for the upcoming WNBA draft in May 2027.
What made Kanter Freedom's stunt harder to dismiss was the seriousness of his presentation. He repeatedly emphasized that he wasn't trying to mock, insult, or disrespect anyone. Instead, he framed the entire move as a question about whether the rules should be applied consistently to everyone. That approach made the story more complicated than a simple internet prank. Rather than presenting himself as a troll looking for attention, he positioned the announcement as a test of the league's eligibility rules and how those rules are interpreted. His argument essentially came down to this: if the rules create an opening, then he wants to challenge the league to explain exactly where that line is. In other words, Kanter wasn't just making a joke, he was deliberately turning the joke into a debate about fairness, eligibility, and how sports organizations define their rules.
I'm transgender. I'm a woman. I identify as sometimes identifying as a woman for purposes of basketball, professional basketball. So I'll be declaring for the WNBA draft in 2027.
Only thing I want to say is, what happened to the people that made content, the people that wore t-shirts that wanted men to play with women. Where did they go? I've been looking for them. People at? Where's Cheryl Reeve at with some t-shirts? Where them content creators at, man? This would be such a good idea if Caitlin Clark had him as a teammate. Where all y'all go now? Y'all been real quiet around here, bro. Real quiet. What the hell is going on?
Then things got even messier. Just hours after Cantor Freedom's video began circulating, former Houston Rockets first-round pick Royce White appeared on Fox News and delivered a similarly provocative announcement, only this time with far more intensity and almost no patience for nuance. White presented the idea with a completely straight face, saying he intended to declare for the 2027 WNBA draft while framing the announcement around questions of identity and eligibility. The moment left the anchor visibly trying to determine what exactly was happening. Was this satire, a political statement, or a serious attempt to challenge the league's rules? Either way, the clip immediately added another layer to an already chaotic conversation about sports eligibility, fairness, and where the boundaries of professional leagues should be drawn.
This could get interesting. Royce White, who is a former NBA player and a Republican candidate for U.S. Senate, has decided to declare for the WNBA draft as a transgender individual. And he is testing to see exactly what the left is going to do. Now, I'm sure that many on the left are already going to cry foul over this because he looks, walks, and talks like a man. And I think that this is hopefully going to educate quite a few of them on what we have all been saying regarding this situation. Because this guy is a former NBA player. And it is realistically a situation where if they do accept him, it is going to heavily tilt the scales in favor of whatever team he ends up on. Now, if they end up rejecting him entirely, the left will have proved our point. So this is an interesting trap that the WNBA has been put in, as well as the left in the United States.
Two former NBA players, both over 6 feet 8 inches and both former first-round picks, suddenly found themselves at the center of the same WNBA eligibility controversy within a matter of hours. Cantor Freedom even suggested in follow-up comments that he would be willing to take the stunt further if the league actually entertained the idea, joking that he was already working on his crossover. At that point, it was becoming difficult to dismiss the situation as a random one-off joke. Whether intentional or not, the timing made the two announcements look like a broader statement about league rules, and the internet immediately treated them as exactly that. What started as a provocative bit had suddenly become a much bigger debate about eligibility, fairness, and the boundaries of professional sports.
Are very upset after another NBA player identifies as a woman and is now declaring for the WNBA draft.
I'm transgender. I identify as sometimes identifying as a woman, declaring for the WNBA draft.
So yes, this is very true. We had Enes Freedom make the announcement yesterday, and we now have another former NBA player, Royce White, doing the same thing for the 2027 WNBA draft. Now, like I mentioned, a lot of people are very upset about this, so Royce White responded to this saying, I haven't even been publicly trans for 72 hours and I'm already getting so much hate. I just want to hoop with my girls in my feminine era. Why can't y'all be happy for me? Now, because of this, the WNBA announced that they are meeting to review what a woman is after recent events.
The reaction was almost immediate, and it spread everywhere. Within a single news cycle, clips were bouncing across social media, group chats, and mainstream coverage, turning what began as a provocative stunt into a much bigger public debate. The comment sections quickly became battlegrounds, with people arguing about for more than basketball. The conversation expanded into questions about fairness, identity, satire, and where a joke crosses the line. Some viewers thought the whole thing was hilarious, arguing that it exposed questions about league policies that they believed deserved clearer answers. Others saw it very differently, saying that two former NBA players appearing to mock a women's league, even while insisting they meant no disrespect, went too far. The controversy also raised questions for sponsors and business partners, particularly amid broader debates surrounding sports eligibility policies. Reports of sponsors reconsidering promotional activity began circulating online, although the details and extent of any such moves remained unclear. Either way, the controversy had officially escaped the internet and become a serious public relations headache for the league.
I do not, under any circumstances, under zero, think that men should play sports against women. And if anybody have a problem with that, they're going to have to get over it, because I'm not going to change. I just think it's wrong, period. If people disagree with me, I'm good with that. Hey, we disagree. Yeah. I'm not mad at you. I don't hate you. I'm not going to call you names because that's just silly and stupid. But I'm never going to think it's all right for men to play sports against women. And I don't even think that's controversial. That's the thing that's funny. Like some of this stuff make, like when you see these debates on television, I'm like, yeah, men shouldn't play sports against women. I'm done. I don't want to hear you try to explain it to me. No, I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to argue with you. Men shouldn't play sports against women. I'm done. There's a lot of we can argue over. That ain't.
Then Charles Barkley entered the conversation, and he didn't hold back. During a discussion on Inside the NBA, Barkley reportedly called the entire situation outrageous. But what really caught people's attention was where he directed his criticism. Rather than simply attacking Cantor Freedom and Royce White for making provocative videos, Barkley's argument focused on the league itself. His point was essentially that unclear or disputed policies can create opportunities for people to challenge the rules publicly, turning what might have been a joke into a much bigger controversy. Barkley's message was blunt. If a league wants to avoid this kind of chaos, it needs clear, consistently explained eligibility rules. In his view, ambiguity can create confusion, and once the internet gets involved, that confusion can become a full-blown media storm.
What do you think of these NBA players?
Oh, I think it's awesome. I think if they want to be inclusive, the WNBA said these coaches that have been coming out speaking against Sophie have been saying they're the most inclusive league there is. We're about to find out, right? I think they should let these guys go to the draft and whatever they identify as, let them go into the draft and see what happens.
Yeah, I think so. You are really a legend in football. You're a Hall of Famer. You played in the league for more than a decade. And I was actually surprised when I saw you standing up for Sophie Cunningham because we don't hear this often. What made you stand up for Sophie?
I just think it's a common sense issue. It's an 80-20 issue. It goes pretty much our way. I just don't understand why it's even a discussion. There should not be men and women's sports. It's just common sense, right? I mean, biologically we're different. I think that's pretty well noted. People know that for the most part. I guess they have to have it explained to them sometimes, but it's not even an issue. Men should not be playing versus women. Shouldn't be in the locker room. Shouldn't be anywhere around them when they're